Howdy folks, it's Amanda, your best friend, coming at you live, not really live, but it's a recording, and I'll edit it not to be too long. We'll make it a little bit shorter this time, and we're going to try and do episodes on this topic, which is the treatments that I have received from NDIS workers. I am a recipient of NDIS, which is the National Disability Incentive Scheme. And I have a disability. I am mentally ill. My diagnosis changes all the time, so don't get me down to talk about the exact terminologies there, but we're currently going with schizophrenic and bipolar. The people that have worked for me in the NDIS, I have never actually found someone I've been completely satisfied with. I guess there have been some people, but there's been things that have happened between us and we've gone our separate ways. So the first person I want to talk about in my series of disappointments with the NDIS is this, he probably would have been around 40 years old, and he was a Christian man, and he was very rough, and he was doing my dishes, and he was preaching the word of God to me. Now, I came up in a Christian household. I know all about the Bible. I've read it, and I've gone to Bible college, and I don't need a lecture on religion when someone's trying to do my dishes. So I said to him straight up, don't want to hear you preaching, mate. Do your job, and that's, stay at that. So he said to me a little while later, when he'd finished the dishes and he was going to go on and do some other things, "Oh, can I please use your toilet?" And I said, of course, you're going to be cleaning it. So yeah, go for it. And I didn't kind of figure this one out for a little while, because I have been severely sedated, so I don't always notice exactly what's going on around me. I am getting more observant, which is great. But in that situation, I didn't notice, but he'd pissed on the wall. It was all this like yellow runs on the wall, like had about sort of like waist, just below waist height, and I was disgusted. So like I didn't find that out until after he'd gone, and I was just like, all of these bad things that I'm going to tell you in this series of videos that I hope to make. And like this is keeping in mind that I have to get my life together to be able to make these videos. I don't bother reporting the bad things to the NDIS or to the worker's boss or anything like that, because they just don't listen when you actually do report it to them. So I find there's no point. Like, I reported some stolen things to the NDIS, and they said, well, if you can't, not that if you can't prove it, but if you don't have it on video and you haven't reported it to the police, we don't want to know, we can't help you. And so maybe I'll talk about some more of that later. keep the flow of generosity towards my side hustle, please. I've changed platforms to eBay. The details will be down below. The next person I'll talk about, and I'll even expose where she comes from, because they're dirty to work with. She was from Mabel, and she was very chatty, very chatty. Oh, yes, I am the same as you. And like, she would be overly, what would I say, overly trying to say she was the same as me, in the way that, oh, I am only 59, but I am much younger in spirit. Like, because I wanted a worker that was around the same age as me, and I consider 59 a little bit too old for that. But anyway, and she kept telling me that, oh, I am vegetarian the same as you, and like, she wasn't. But anyway, that's not the things that I was upset about. One day she was doing the dishes, which I always get my workers to do. I'm hopeless at doing my dishes, and I always need help with them. They pile up, and it gets very disgusting, and I really need help with it. So I always get someone to start with the dishes, and they do as many as there are here. And one day she broke. I give instructions. Oh, you've got to do this and this and this to make the dishes not fall off the rack. And if someone ignores that, I try and pick them up on it straight away. I generally watch them when they first come here. And she hadn't been here long, but she ignored me, and I didn't notice, and something fell off the rack, and it was an antique little plate that I'm not going to be able to replace. And she laughed when she broke it, and I was furious, but I couldn't, because she's a worker, I couldn't like yell at her or anything like that. But when I reported it, they didn't do anything about it. And then the same worker, on her first day here, her husband came to my door, and because she'd left something at home and she might have needed it, and they lived locally, and he'd found my house by looking for her car out the front. And then also I specified in what I wanted that I needed someone to be able to give me transport, because I go all over town doing different things. And she said she had a license, but she was very scary to drive with. And we went to the local bakery, and she took the back streets. And I sort of thought that was a bit odd, because it's much easier to go to the bakery around my house straight to the main road. And then I asked her, we need to go to my doctor's, which is across town. Are you going to be able to take me? And she said, oh, look, my husband needs to drive us. And okay. And I didn't really know the legalities of that. But then I mentioned it to someone, and they said, no, that's, highly frowned upon and illegal. If you got into an accident, you wouldn't be insured, and they would be heavily fined or something like that. But I did report it to Mabel, and once again didn't hear anything back from them. They pretty much swept it under the rug, and I haven't heard anything one way or the other whether she's still practicing with Mabel or another agency at all. My dad was a government auditor at one stage in his life, and I have a problem, probably because of that, with people abusing government funds. Now, I have had so many workers write extra hours or extra kilometres on the car. Like, there was one girl who was a very nice person, but she did shonky things. We went to a cafe that was, say, probably about 11 kilometres or 12 kilometres from here. So it'd be a 24-kilometre trip, plus, you know, maybe an extra kilometre for maybe different roads or whatever. And she put down 52 kilometres. And so she got, you know, like she would have had to get paid, you know, per kilometre for that that sort of thing. So I know that sounds really petty, but like, because it's my funds, and every year I have to go into a fight to get extra funds or enough funding at all with these ridiculous NDIS people that ring me up and say, oh, but you didn't do this. And it's like, oh man, but then someone abuses my funds, so it bothers me. And like, I personally can't be responsible for other people lying. I had a really lovely worker that was with me for about a year and a half, and she was, you know, very nice, and she got a lot done, I guess. She was a very slow worker, and I think she had some sort of like autism spectrum, or not really sure. Most of the workers have some sort of mental difficulty, or like physical thing, or IBS, or you hear all about it. But yeah, she was very lovely, but she had this obsession with older people. And then one day I sent her to the supermarket for me, and I just went to sleep in bed and waited for her. And I was waiting for a long time, but I just thought, oh, fuck it, you know, I'll just go to sleep. And her work rang me and said, oh, she's been delayed. And I was like, oh, okay. Went back to sleep. When a sedated person is asleep or falls asleep again, it's very hard to wake them up. So like, even interrupting in their sleep, they're going to go straight back to sleep and probably not remember, or there's going to be issues there. But anyway, that's beside the point. So she'd come across an old man that had fallen over, and for some reason she had to use her phone to call some sort of ambulance, or I'm not really sure. But in the meantime, like the stories of what her work said, what she said, everything kept changing. Obviously none of it was true, but like the main thing is there's something called duty of care. And that means that when a worker is with you, they are obligated to put you first and ignore every other situation. I've seen other workers talk about it even while I'm with them. We've witnessed things and they've said, look, I can't stop because I've got duty of care to you, and you're not obligated to help that person. In fact, it's going to bugger up the situation between the two of us, because we need to get home, or like they finish their shift in 20 minutes and they've got to go somewhere else. Okay, so you've got the duty of care thing. They're obligated to look after you, number one, in their mind. So if I send someone shopping, they've got to think about my shopping, they've got to pick out my things that I want and get through that checkout like they're on time, thinking I'm at work. I don't stop talking to people. I don't stop and talk to people, sorry. Let's go, I'm at work. I've got to bust my ass and think about that number one sitting at home waiting for me. And in this case, she didn't do that. She stopped and talked to the security guards. She talked to the people from Coles that were nearby. I know she lives near there, so I don't know whether she had some people that she bumped into that she knew, and she's just sat there and talked to them. But she basically did the wrong thing. She was away for about an hour, and I didn't know where she was. I was a bit worried about that. And when she came back, she didn't really want to talk about it, and she said she had to go. And I think it might have been either the next day or that day, I can't remember which, to be able to give you the truth about it. But I used to let her go early if I wanted to go to sleep or something like that. So I don't trust people in your house, especially she used to bring her backpack in, and these days no one is allowed to bring their bags in, because while she was here a lot of things went missing. So with this duty of care thing, she came back and I let her go early, or that probably the next day, and then I got a message right on finishing time for her from her work, that she was sick and couldn't come the next day. And I was furious. It's like, I know you're not sick, I've just seen you. So she'd lied about it. And that's when I learned this whole NDIS thing is all about serving the workers and giving them money. And basically the NDIS is an industry that is not supporting the disabled, it's supporting the workers. There's all sorts of people that are making a fortune off of businesses. I try and get new workers, so I have to go through the process of talking to their management or sales team or things like that, and they come here and they're so lovely. They're like, oh la la la, I love this, and you're so lovely, and they just butter you up, and then when it comes to serving you, won't even answer the phone to you, and give you the person that you said you didn't want, and there's things like that. So in this series, you could see me get a little angry because the NDIS has disappointed me so much, and right at the moment they're not supporting me at all, except through one person who I've had a long time, and obviously I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a gardener and handyman, and he's excellent. So I don't see why it has to be so difficult. And that's probably going to be my point as well. I'm not going to be talking about things that are just like personal differences, like, oh, that person smells, or, you know, that sort of thing. I'm going to be talking about offences like pissing on the wall, duty of care. So get busy, man. If you liked my video, thumbs up. If you liked it a lot, follow me. I am all over the internet. You can check me out all over the place. You'll see it down in the description. All the links. Be there.